painted. Let's get that sidewalk pressure cleaned. Let's get all the dollars stuff out of the park pulled out. I'm saying it in front of other people.
Yeah, fine.
So now I have witnesses.
Sidewalk where? By the park?
By the park in front of the mailbox.
Now, I will tell you what I heard from Liberty Land Management, okay, is my understanding is the soil material there, and you might understand this better than I do.
We all have the same soil. It all got put in here.
My understanding is that soil material, whenever you put down nutrients, leaches out. So it's very hard to get the nutrients to stay there, is my understanding.
Oh, but then it's okay if they understand that. To complain about the few dollar weeds that isn't even my fault. It's coming off the blower because they can't. You know, you contradict yourself quite a bit, Matt. I'm sorry. You do. You contradict yourself quite a bit. I mean,
Okay.
and you've done it in the last hour. You've done it probably 10 times.
Okay.
10 times. You step on your own tongue.
I'm just
You're saying that they have problems with the leak. But okay, if they have, then why don't they understand my problem? Why don't they understand that the reason I have it is because they just don't have mulching machines. Their lawnmowers don't have mulching on them. They blow all the mulch right into the pond. Look how disgusting the pond is.
Oh, I'm aware. Michelle was talking about that last night, that Solitude is hoping to have it fixed up by Thanksgiving Day. She was talking about last night.
They don't even show up to mine.
Huh?
Don't even show up
They
to
don't.
Pond 6. No, don't even show up. I got a camera on it 24/7 high definition.
Okay.
So I see everything back there.
Cool.
Day and night. It's nice. Amazing what shows up there.
I was smart with the last management company. I went ahead and got them to approve my camera. So I did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I did the same thing.
Well, mine are going through the windows. So I don't need anybody to know where my cameras are at.
You can't
Mine are
see
inside. So
Cool. And that's great because then you don't have any approval requirements.
yeah.
That's
Well,
awesome.
I did it legally. I went to the first and they came out and they proved it.
It's nice.
So, all right. So I'm getting together the list. So I'm also going to send something to Tim about talking to FLC about how this is coming over into your yard also.
It's just right over it. It's not even. There's no reason for them to be on this property with a lawnmower.
I could be wrong, but my understanding is right after the storm drain is the I guess what they call the easement to go and maintain the pond area.
They parked the vehicle right here, which I measured to be 23 feet. 23 feet and some odd inches.
Okay.
So they can't drive through here. They'll either go through there or they'll go all the way around.
So my understanding is they're supposed to go straight through
right,
here.
right through here.
Okay. That's where they're supposed to be. They should not be over here or over there.
No, they'll run right through here. And they'll run right through there.
That's not right, because this is supposed to be the access point right here. Because the problem is the property is adjoined, so the only way to get through is to cut. But
Here, look. You know what that is? You know what all that is? That's all dollar weeds.
yeah, yes.
That's all dollar. You know where the dollar weeds come from? Other properties. Because they don't clean their machines, they'll go from one property to the next property. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take a half-hour break in between properties and go to a car wash and get underneath the machines with a pressure washer at a car wash and pressure wash to
I
death.
thought most of those commercial ones at least have like washout
They don't.
hookups.
They don't. I know you have one on yours. Steve has one on his. They don't. They have Hustlers and they have Husqvarna, and none of them have it.
Just cut all that stuff out of there. A couple things. One, it keeps room to cut the grass, and two, it gets rid of all the nonsense. So.
All right. Well, it's been brought to your attention about the guy in the car living. It's been brought to your attention that they're pumping water out of the thing. Swift Mud. Now that it's been brought to your attention, you have 7 to 10 business days.
I'm gonna be telling Beth King and the rest of the board as soon as I get home.
I'm not going to be forced out of my house like Mike and these poor people were. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going down without. Well, I'm going to let my spin doctor spin this all out.
I have no desire to force anyone out of anything.
She's being forced out of her home. She can't stand you guys. She can't stand you.
Yeah. I even get that weirdo Andy taking pictures of my shit all the time. I got his ass on video. I even put his shit on YouTube. Him and his wife, Marlene.
The lady with the.
I even have them on
from
there.
her house.
So I thought it was so
She's
goddamn
being forced out
hilarious.
because she can't stand you guys. You guys don't have no time on your hands but to bother people that aren't bothering you. You have more time to find fault than no fault. Is it because this is a no-fault state that we should just pick on everybody? You think I'm getting pleasure out of picking on you? I get no pleasure. That makes me a bully. I'm not a bully.
I actually am not suggesting it. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to listen. While I disagree with some of the information being shared with me, I want to listen to it, because the problem is that when I don't want to be defensive, because when people get defensive, they stop listening, and I want to hear it. I want to try to talk through it, and I want to try whatever we can try to fix.
I misunderstood you. I thought you were one of those multi-talented guys. I thought you could chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. But as I understand you speaking right now, that's a difficult thing for you to do. In other words, you have to stop doing one thing to focus on another thing.
No,
well, let me tell you, I can focus on 50 things at one time. Not only do I have a photograph memory, but I can remember my conversations 30 years ago.
Also, in transparency, I'm also trying to make sure I don't escalate. I'm trying to be as...
You're escalating just by what you're saying. You're not listening to yourself speak.
I'm escalating by saying I'm trying not to escalate?
No, beforehand. Now you're twisting. Now all you're doing is trying to spin out.
No,
I'll let my spin doctor spin this for us.
The reason I walked back over is because I really wanted to hear what you had to say. That's the reason I walked back over. I mean, forgive me, and I don't want to be
You don't
rude.
need to be forgiven.
You
have to do something wrong in order to be forgiven.
If I wanted to be rude, I just would have turned around and walked down the street. I came back over because I wanted to hear what you had to say.
Well, let's start with getting that man that does not pay rent, does not pay property dues, does not pay for any of the maintenance on the property out of here. Because that you say that it lowers the value of our home by having a homeless person live there.
I didn't. I thought you were talking about the dead lawn. No, that doesn't help. That doesn't help.
Congratulations. With you doggy things.
Somebody living in your vehicle.
I mean, I don't know how to rank what's worse, but the reality is I'm going to take all that feedback and I'm going to relay it. That's what I'm going to do with it. And, you know, as you said, Jason's a stand-up guy.
He's a stand-up guy.
So when I go home and I write that, you can ask him if he got a copy of that from me. Because I'm going to go write it, I'm going to send it to the management, and you can ask him himself if he got a copy of it.
We talk daily. If there's something wrong, he'll bring it to my attention. We talk daily. He's seen these guys blow. He's seen this. And despite of the whole thing with them telling me to stop cutting the front because of the insurance, I still have to cut this because they do such a poor job. You can see the difference in the cutting. You can see I cut 6 feet off my property line because they do such a poor job. 6 feet. You can literally see it. 6 feet from the actual property line. I cut myself because they don't do a good job. If I don't catch it before they blow it into my thing, and here's another thing that really pisses me off. I got them on camera. They hit this. Why they were up here with their lawnmower and hit this, cracked my thing in half, and laid it on the ground. I had to put screws in here. There's a huge crack in here. They didn't beg, they didn't pay for this. I paid for this.
They hit that with a lawnmower?
Huh?
They hit that with the lawnmower?
They hit that with the lawnmower.
I wish I would say I was surprised, because I've seen them hit a lot of stuff with the lawnmower, unfortunately. Did you attempt to file any claim against them by any chance?
Yeah, they're no longer with us anymore.
Well, correct, but the company, you know,
That company no longer works here. That was the company that quit, and we were doing the front property.
Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised for the damage you didn't at least pursue some kind of...
Who do you pursue?
The company itself.
Yeah, there was no way to pursue them. They never came back.
I meant from a small claim standpoint.
So in other words, I had to spend more money to pay my spin doctor to go after somebody that committed a crime on my property. That makes a lot of sense.
I said I'm surprised whether you do it or not. That's your
Yeah,
your
from
argument.
now, everything's gonna be done with the spin doctor. There will be no more, nothing done without my spin doctor getting involved. I don't hire attorneys, because attorneys just don't, they're all in it for themselves. You get a good spin doctor that knows what he's doing, he's got 60 years under his belt, and he will come out here. He will send an investigator out here, and he will do. That's how I found out that the letter was actually not even for my house. It was for the other people's house.
There were several letters that got mismatched to several Miss Homes. Whether it was the
Ask me how I found out about that. My spin doctor.
There were several letters that either had the wrong address or the wrong photo on them. It is disgustingly sad how many were.
No, it's grotesquely sad.
I think we're in the same area in terms of it wasn't one or two, it was many. There were many that were mismatched.
How can somebody mismatch that? How can somebody?
So my understanding of how that worked is when they came out and did the inspection, they were taking photos and writing notes, and they mismatched their photos and their notes, and several got screwed up. I'm not even going to try to explain that, because it in Jason's own words, it's indefendable in his own words.
Okay.
I would have understood if it was one or two. That would have been understandable. But when you have a mountain of them,
My question is, if we have a mountain of them,
Yeah.
why is that person still doing that job?
that's why I told you we're changing managements. I told you we're in the middle of changing managements right now. Because I had two vendors quit.
Where's the baby? Let's make sure the gator doesn't get the baby.
Oh, he's used to gators.
He's used to gators.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the gator, by the way.
Gator?
Yeah, I got a gator in my yard now.
There's three gators.
You got 3?
Yeah, 3. One.
Oh, you fucking. Well, at least yours is still a pond. Mine's a swamp.
Yeah, you
My-
don't even have water. Your stuff is.
My fucker has to walk on top of that shit. It really fucks things up when he goes to eat his duckies.
Showing some people that you really need what you say you need. Keep that crap cooled out.
Well, I'm going to go relay that as soon as I get home. I'm going to relay that to the whole board and the management, because
How do you feel about that guy living in his car? Do you think that makes your value of your home go down, or do you think it holds value because there's somebody living in their vehicle?
If we get rid of the HOA, all the values will go at least $70,000 up on every house in here.
Is that right? Well, my house is
It's a
paid
fact,
off.
Jack.
My house is paid off, and it's only gone up $10,000.
Well, it'll go up that much more. That's why the houses over there that are older have higher values than these. And they're
now there is a way, since you brought it up, to dissolve the HOA, but it requires a large number of members to vote to dissolve.
But then we're beating the purpose of having an HOA.
I agree with you.
Then we'll have people parking in here with semis.
But and I agree
no,
with you.
because this is Pasco County. You can't park on the street. Once this is a public street, you can't park on the street.
Once it's a public street.
So all
it's a
this is
private
over
street.
with.
But the
We need to all get together, the neighbors that really are concerned about this. And I know that you're a good man. Since I've lived here, me and you've had nothing but great conversations. And you've been very honest. I've never, ever caught you in a policy. We need to get all of us together. And then we'll figure out what's best for the community. Because actually the community isn't figuring it out for us. So maybe we need to figure it out for them.
Yeah. Your house will go 100,000 up in value. 100,000 is nothing to cough
the
at.
problem, and since you brought up the idea, I was trying to explain how that actually happens. And I believe it's back in chapter 15 or 16 of the covenants. It takes a large percentage of the homeowners to vote to dissolve it, and they make it a very high number intentionally to make it difficult to dissolve. But I wanted you to know, since you brought it up, there is actually a process for it.
Oh yeah, I know.
Because since you brought it up, I figured I'd tell you there is a way to do it.
Yeah, I read the book many times, cover to cover.
Okay.
I did too, cover to cover.
I sat in an office reading it as well.
Good.
They
Every
say-
time I get a bogus letter, I sat down and reread it.
They say not to feed the wildlife. Okay, so we don't feed the wildlife. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
They say not, but in the covenants, there's nothing in there saying not to feed the wildlife.
Correct.
Nothing at all.
State law, you're not supposed to. Feeding wildlife is molesting wildlife.
I agree.
It's a arrestable offense.
Why can't they just put that in so that, you know, when our neighbors across the pond are throwing food in there and feeding the gators, and they're throwing dead rats in there and feeding the gators, because I go in there and I pull the dead rats out and I bury them under my trees for fertilizer.
If they're,
Should've done in the first place.
if they're violating a state law, and I don't know which particular enforcement department would be, but the state should be able to address that if they're violating a state law. The HOA can only handle rules that we have on the books. But if you're seeing people doing that and it is against a state law, I don't know if that's the Florida Department of Wildlife. I don't know, but conceivably, if there is a state law in the statutes, the state would be able to enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
They can't enforce the guy from taking the water out of the pond. They can't enforce the homeless man living in his car. Only you guys have the authority right now. Only after 7 to 10 working days will they step in and start suing all of us about this pond issue. Then we'll all be sued. You,
No, the association as a whole, yes.
me, Matt,
The
Phil. I mean, Phil's trying to start a family. He doesn't need to be sued.
Congratulations, then.
And I probably shouldn't even told you that. That's none of my business. You know, that just slipped.
Congratulations to him. I think it's wonderful if people can.
I'm sorry, Phil. That was a slip of the tongue.
Well, obviously, these are family houses designed for families,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what should be here, is families. Kids running around doing whatever the hell they want, raising hell. That's what kids are supposed to do.
They're supposed to get in a little bit of trouble, yes.
Yeah. Now, doesn't seem that way.
2 hours. 2 hours. Almost 2 hours we've been sitting here. You got here a little late. Well, about 2 hours we've been sitting here arguing about stuff that should have been taken care of a year ago, like the mailboxes, the dollar weeds at the park, all that stuff, you know. You look at the mailboxes and they look shabby. Some of them, I'll admit it, I have to go over there with WD-40 and spray it in my lock so I can get my key in and out.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to do that. I have it. I'll do it. But is it my job to do it? I pay for that.
Yeah. For a lot of things. Pay for pond maintenance as well, and I got a swamp since February, since I got a funny little letter.
Now the ponds, my understanding from Michelle last night, is they're supposed to be cleaned up by Thanksgiving, is my understanding. From Michelle.
It's not going to happen.
Okay. Have you?
It's gonna take 90 days just
Have
to get
you-
rid of this. Look at poor Phil's. I'm talking. This is gonna take 90 days.
I don't know if you have a relationship with Michelle or not, because Michelle, the board has asked Michelle to lead that effort with the pond company.
Well, for
This
the
won't be
longest
clear
time,
up.
her side was always clean and my side's always dirty. But yeah, and we only have the maintenance guy going to his side and then driving through my yard.
Oh, he'll come over here and he'll
guy
fill
Kevin?
up his machine
Yeah.
with water right out of the pond
Yeah.
and drive away and go down the street and spray.
Yeah.
Doesn't spray here at all. He comes here and puts his pump and gets his batch of water out of the pond.
Yeah.
And then go do somebody else's. When he should be hooking up to the city water, putting his meter, and the company getting charged for that.
Mhm.
Because that company has a meter.
Yeah.
By law, has to have a meter and has to have, because it can't take water.
I
out
got
of
my
the pond.
stormwater license. I know what they're supposed
Okay,
to do and what they're
yeah,
not supposed
okay,
to do,
I do-
and all
yeah,
their
you do.
shortcomings as well. I have one of the state licenses.
Then-
Less than
you work for them.
2,300 people have those licenses in
then
the
you- then
state,
you would
and
know
I have
Then
one.
you would know far better than I, because, the pile of water regulations, there's a lot of them. I know they spent over a year just trying to get the correct approvals to try to refix the access road back there, when they actually finally put some pavement back there so that emergency vehicles can come in through there.
That's what I'm seeing. Okay, let's use that as an example. You're saying that they want to get this resolved by Thanksgiving?
That was
They
what-
won't get this resolved till after the New Year's. If they start spraying, yesterday, if they start spraying yesterday, that won't
No.
be resolved till after New Year's.
Nope.
There's just too much scum in there.
I agree. There's even more in mine. I'm aware
I'm
that
just
there
being
is.
realistic.
I don't have expertise in that area.
You see this big stain right here? I bet you I can tell you where it came from.
If I had to guess, I guess it was probably the trash company.
No, it's
No.
the lawn meeple.
Okay.
That's from their transmission.
Trash truck can't get that close.
Okay. I was guessing.
They park right here. Right here. And here, this is when they back up. This is when they back up. I don't know. I think everything at this point.
Well, you've given me a lot, so I'm gonna try to recap some of this because I want to make sure I get all of it. I'm gonna talk to Beth about the water drainage. Beth King, who's the current acting manager of the association.
She lives on property, right?
No, she does not. She is the director of Associa Gulf Coast. Her name's Beth King.
Yeah, but she's with Associa. Associa won't be here no more.
I
Okay, so
understand
is that not
but
people?
right now they're the management at the moment. Okay.
I understand she has 6 weeks, right? They have 6 more weeks. We owe them 6 more weeks, and then they're gonna.
We're planning on having them till the end of the year. Is the plan to have them till December 31st, so that we can allow time for a new company to come in because onboarding and set up with a new company does take time. Right now, for the Swift Mud thing, I'm going to report that to the management this evening. I told you can check with Jason on it. I'm going to also make an outreach to Tim about them not using the appropriate easement by your property, and that it's causing stuff, and the lack of mulching and cleaning out the mowers is causing stuff to come into your yard. Okay. I'm going to check with Marlene about the paint for the mailboxes, because that's been one of the initiatives that she's been talking about a lot, wanting to do
The whole
that.
thing is, and excuse me, I don't mean to be rude because this is not meant to be rude in any way at all. She's gonna run the time out before those things get even sanded, because you can't paint those. If you put paint over that powder coating, you know what? There's going to be a chemical reaction, and it's all just going to melt right onto the floor.
My understanding is we were gathering some bids earlier this year for it, that sanding was going to be a part of the job. It comes down to the 5 of the board allocating some money to that project, because this year's budget doesn't have any money allocated to that project. But we are in budget season, so this is the perfect time to revisit it. And then I'm just trying to go through the list because I've got several items to unload. I'm going to also reach out to Michelle, because they're taking water for the pond, but you're not actually seeing them put the treatments into it.
They're not putting treatments in.
Okay. And I'm also going to reach out to Tim because of the lack of weed treatment over in the common area. I think that was the list.
The park,
Yes.
the common area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go write all of that up now.
Okay. Have a good day, Matt.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good evening.
Hey, thank you for giving me feedback. Really, I mean, sometimes some of the hardest things you got to hear are things you don't want to hear. So thank you. And Phil, thank you for being concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
And that dog looks happy in the shade.
Yep.
It's a
Do me
happy
a
dog,
do me
man.
a solid.
I
Keep
had-
them out of my yard.
Keep poop.
You know, the photographers. Keep them out of my backyard.
I haven't.
Oh, I got. Yeah, they took pictures. I bought cameras.
So
Okay, we're at that.
So who?
It's water under the
So
bridge.
who is?
Let's put it this way. They sent a picture of my house,
Yeah.
They sent
of my
the same thing.
backyard on my property,
They did that to me too.
of a fuck ton
And-
of land.
So
And guess what?
So who took the picture?
Don't know. So I bought cameras because of
Okay.
that.
Now, was it more than 3 months ago?
Yes.
2 or 3? Okay, then I can tell you exactly who did that then, because there was a community inspection about 2 to 3 months ago, where Michelle, the manager at the time, Nicole, and myself walked the entire property. And I know Nicole being new, she also was checking on some of the preserve cutbacks, and I know that Nicole, Michelle, and I walked the back area of the preserve back there, on the far side of the water. So I can tell you it was Nicole Burkett who did that.
That
My
walked
question-
around.
Yes.
Okay, then she needs a trespassing warrant.
The manager, well, she already quit Associates. She won't be back.
No.
But that's why Nicole. That's
Y'all
why,
know how to pick them.
Unfortunately, I did not pick Nicole herself. Nicole was assigned to us, and then Nicole quit, and that's why Beth King, who's actually their director, is the acting manager at the moment, because she doesn't have a manager at the moment for the community.
Do you remember when Melrose was here? We had Melrose.
Yep,
How good were they, man?
they were fine.
They were. How good? Were
Answered
they?
the phone every time I
Every
called.
time I called, me too.
Yep.
Me too.
They threw people under the bus when I got the letters. They threw people under the bus. Who was the photographer and who insisted the letter be sent?
Because they weren't liars.
Yeah,
They were good
they
people.
were bug. Yeah,
When I asked permission to do all my landscaping,
yeah. When they see a pressure washer next to a boat in a picture, they know I'm washing the damn thing, not storing it in the driveway. Especially when the trailer's still hooked to the car.
I don't get that either.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just common sense.
Yeah,
I don't get that either. Just like this guy living in his car.
yeah. The same paragraph that gives me all the problems with the boat lists all these trucks. Why is it pick and choose? Why a couple words of it, but the other ones are no, forget that.
And while you're on that subject,
Yeah.
how come?
Why is it
that
not
cul-de-sac-
across the board?
Yeah, it's not across the board. How come that associate that cul-de-sac has the cleanest pond, the most clean? They got pickerel, they got arrowhead, they got St. John's Wort.
It's nice.
Huh?
It's nice back there.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I asked permission to put it in here. I was going to pay for it, and you know what they told me? No.
Speaking.
And I got one of those licenses too.
Speaking.
It's
of,
in
know
his
you-
hands.
I know you-
Speaking
I have one too.
Speaking of things going in, also I will tell you, because Michelle brought it up to me last night, and is that Michelle, she was summarizing it, so she might have more information if you get a chance to talk to her. They said there was some undesirable vegetation in there.
The whole fucking thing.
Look at yours.
The whole thing.
You know, you can
My
literally
fucking gator
walk
can't
across
swim.
So they're planning on killing that stuff off, but they, and I'm Michelle Memory. I'm paraphrasing what Michelle said. Basically, as they kill that stuff off, they expect it to get a little bit worse before it gets a little better, because they're going to kill all that stuff off, which they think as they kill it off will increase algae activity.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, we know.
I don't.
Sunlight.
I'm just summarizing what we said.
You'll let the sunlight in. The only way to stop that is to throw a dye in it. Throw a black dye.
Yeah.
And that will stop that issue.
And my understanding is also that solids.
That's why they throw all the round balls in there. It does the same thing. They throw those black balls in there.
Yep.
And
And
my
they recover
understanding,
them.
and my understanding also is that
Easy as can be.
they're also bringing forward a proposal to put bubblers into the pond as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I offered to do that and pay for it out of my pocket, guess what?
They laughed at you.
They laughed at
Yeah.
me. They most certainly did.
Oh no,
I'm
those will
willing to pay
burn
for
up.
it. I'm willing to pay for it and the electric. I didn't want them to pay for the electric, and I even agreed to leave it here when I moved.
Yeah.
I agreed they could have it, and they said no. You know, it's really funny because I just seen the guy just walk in the corner over there. There's a hobo and family living right there in that hole at the end of the hole right there.
Over there? Wally.
At the end right there. I'll point because I hope they see me. At the end right there. You see where that hole is right there? There's a hobo and his family and his kids living right in there.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, I have to work my dick into the dirt and that fucker lives over here for free.
Same thing with that guy.
Yeah.
Same thing with that guy. You know, I worked 35 years of my life so I can retire. And I thought this would be a good place to retire. I didn't put all this money in here. The tree they gave me when I bought this property, all the landscaping they put in here,
Oh, absolutely.
I took it all out. I ripped all of it out, and I had Melrose give me permission to put everything in. Everything, the benches, the sink, all the palm trees. I had Melrose, because Melrose, all they said was, at first they wanted $35. Then they dropped it to $15 for everything. And then I got my fence put in, I got my back porch enclosed, because for $15 I might as well get on the bus and get everything done at one time. So it's not that I won't spend money on this property, because I will. I don't have a problem with that. I like it. I like having good things. The more good things, you know, I should be able to, my golden years, which is now, I'm a retired gentleman, I should be able to enjoy my golden years instead of spending 2 hours and 18 minutes talking about stuff that should have been
Hey.
addressed last year.
Wally,
We have a pandemic going on. Okay? You know what we're doing instead of helping one another out? We're bitching about dollars. We're bitching about things that aren't even important. You know how much this stuff costs? How much this stuff costs?
I believe it's about, is it $25-30 a bag?
$16 for this one,
Okay.
$30 for this one. And I don't fertilize. I use mill organite, plant food. I won't fertilize because I live next to a pond. I won't fertilize.
That's
It
extreme.
says
as
right
do
on
I.
it.
Yeah, you're not supposed to put fertilizer in back. Not even a nutrition like that. Not even mineral organite. You're not even supposed to put it close to the pond.
Yeah, my understanding is there's like a footage requirement. You have to be so far away with that stuff just because of they don't want it in there.
That's by law.
Yep.
That's by law.
Yeah, but, yeah.
All right, I've been in the sun too long.
Thank you for the feedback.
You're welcome. You're welcome, man.
No, and I'm gonna hope you
I'll
both
be
have-
really shocked if I see that car gone within a month. I'm going to say a month just because of the holidays and everything. I'm going to be really shocked if that car is gone within a month's time. Because they're not only taking advantage of us, they're taking advantage of the whole system.
No, it shouldn't be, and you've added confirmation to what I was suspecting. So, thank you, and I'm gonna get.
They'll put a sticker on his door because he parks his car out front. They'll put a sticker on his door. They don't put no stickers on their door. You know,
For what?
for leaving his car out in the street 24 hours a night.
Unfortunately, we have a problem with how our rules are written between where your property line is, which I'm going to assume is about where the power box is there,
Right where the power box is.
and I'm going to assume roughly
Right?
by the at far side of the drainage area, roughly.
Right here at this line here.
Right. Roughly.
Right here at this line.
Roughly. The way our rules are written is if you're parking where the road adjoins your property, between you and your property line, our rules allow it.
Yeah, but not everybody does that.
Not everybody does it. But the problem
Have
is,
you ever
No,
heard
they
this
don't do
car-
that.
Have you ever heard this car start up in the morning?
have I heard this car?
No, not my car.
I know.
Is that the one with the loud ass truck?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Is that a big